everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 434, Not So Sweet Caroline. Hello, Big Chillians. Welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are nice over here. The heat wave has passed, so I'm no longer just like sweating through my clothes at 11 o'clock at night while I sit on the couch. So that's an improvement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing that could have cooled you off, maybe, can no longer, and that's the Choco Taco. I don't know if you saw, the Choco Taco has been officially discontinued by Klondike to the dismay of many of Americans.
I didn't really see that, although I did see someone, I think they're offering to deliver individual ones to people out of like the remaining batch or something, but I think it's $1,000 per bar.
That's insane. I guess for people who do they have Choco Taco outside of the US?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. So it's kind of like a taco that's like instead of a waffle cone, it's shaped like a taco, and it's stuffed with ice cream, and then the top is covered, instead of, if you're picturing like salsa of a taco, it's covered with chocolate and nuts. They're okay. I think it's one of those things that people kind of have nostalgia for and go overboard, and it's not that great of a dessert. And then once people, because it slowly started trickling to like limited quantities, and then people get crazy when there's limited quantities of things, which I don't get. If you didn't have it in the first place, now that it's limited, now that it's great. But the funniest thing is there's so many, at least here, there's a lot of restaurants that are homemade Choco Tacos. So it's not as if they're gone forever, just the shitty Klondike version is gone. So, but next time you come visit, Eddie, you can have a homemade one from one of the local ice cream stores.
I mean, it's not really my type of thing, but sure, I'll give it a go.
Oh, ice cream, chocolate, sugar, not your type of thing.
We've discussed this before, right? I'm a pretty
strawberry
basic
ice cream guy. I know.
Yeah, like I'm a pretty basic person when it comes to ice cream. So, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not...
the more the better.
I mean, yeah, sometimes, but no, I'm not venturing out into the more complex ice cream snacks. Now, one thing we didn't make mention of a couple of weeks ago, I don't know, but obviously it was the anniversary of the first moon landing, sort of 12 days ago, something like that. And I also saw that, I think it was Buzz Aldrin's space suit was sold at auction the other day as well. So as a result of that, I've been doing a lot of moon landing, the kind of YouTube rabbit holes that I go down. I've been going down quite not conspiracy theories, because I find the moon landing conspiracy theories to be some of the dumbest. Like, honestly, if anyone is listening to this and that gives any credence to the moon landing conspiracy theories, I just don't know. I don't know what planet you're living on, ironically.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I was watching this, and they were kind of talking about things that happened around 1969, like right around the moon landings, and famous quotes from the period. And one of them was sporting related, one that I'd never heard, but perhaps other people will be aware of. But the former New York Mets manager, Alvin Dark, he at one moment was talking about a player called Gaylord Perry, and he had the quote there, "There'll be a man on the moon before Gaylord Perry hits a home run," was his quote. And in 1969, on the same day as the moon landing, 34 minutes after man first stepped on the moon, Gaylord Perry hit his first career home run.
That's awesome. When did he say that? Did he say that like the day before the moon landing?
Like right before, like literally while the countdown was coming. Like,
yeah,
I don't actually know the timing of the quote.
He literally said it as the person was landing, looking at the batting order, being like, "All right, Gaylord Perry's got at least 2 more people till he gets up. That moon, it's getting pretty close. I think they're gonna land first." Bottom of the 3rd inning.
He said it in 1964.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
5 years before.
that's impressive.
So yeah, there's a fair space.
So,
He's,
I mean, the question is he then a big fan of NASA, or does he really not like Gaylord Perry?
so I'll give a bit more context to this. So he played almost all of his career before the designated hitter came into baseball. So even though he was a pitcher, he'd had a significant number of plate appearances. So he'd had 1,220 plate appearances. So I mean, a sizable chunk. And in the 1964 season, someone from the San Francisco Examiner asked, uh, saw Gaylord Perry hit a home run in batting practice and commented that he looked pretty good with a bat in his hands and that he could get a home run in a game fairly soon. And that is when Alvin Dark responded, "Mark my words, a man will land on the moon before Gaylord Perry hits a home run."
He was sweating that out. I bet. He
I
was
mean,
sweat when they went up in '69. He was like, "Oh, please, no issues. Please, no mechanical issues. Get on that moon. I need this."
I think more to the point, if you're Gaylord Perry, there must, I mean, not that that quote probably was following you around too much, I would imagine, but he must have been aware of it. And when he hit the home run on that day and would have obviously been aware of the fact that the moon landing was that day, there's a good chance that maybe in his mind he thought, I might have scraped in just before this happened. So I can really shove those words down his throat. Then to find out it's 34 minutes later, which just makes the statement even more powerful, it must have been slightly disappointing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it was actually broadcast live at that stadium, like everywhere. I'm sure that was like a live announcement. But I bet you he went into that game thinking, "This is my last shot. I need to hit the home run." So maybe that was a little extra fuel for that game, but just couldn't get it done in time.
I have to, it almost surprises me that they played baseball on that day. Like, I don't know why, but it almost feels as if, like, most non essential things you would have thought pretty much ground to a halt. I do think you're right. They probably, maybe the game was paused or all the
Yeah.
games started after the moon landing. But I would have almost imagined that you just schedule, like, oh, it's supposed to happen. Now, obviously, that's a little bit of a nightmare because, like, the
What if
launches can
something
be,
happened?
yeah, or the launch keeps getting postponed. So you're like
Yeah.
delaying the baseball season. They're like, oh, no flight today. Try again tomorrow.
Hey, listen, Eddie, if you're interested in that, then you should start watching For All Mankind on Apple TV. All about the first season's all about the moon landing. It's a good show. The first
But it's
season is actually like the worst of the seasons. They get progressively better because they are able to branch off on their idea, and it kind of makes it more fun. It's not groundbreaking show. It's a fun show. If you
but
like space, it's a fun space show.
it's based in reality or it's sci-fi or
It's I guess I'll spoil it, but because it's within the first 5 minutes of the first episode. It's an alternate history of if the Soviets landed on the moon before the Americans,
oh, so it's like Man in the High Castle, but
but
for
space.
space.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's
All
pretty
right.
cool because it's like a lot of these same people from the original, but they just didn't land in time, and then the Russians beat them, and then like what happened subsequently in the Cold War and all of this. But it's mostly focused on space exploration. It's pretty neat.
That's an interesting concept. I mean, I like the Man in the High Castle. So,
Yeah,
and that's like a very similar concept, right? So,
yeah.
yeah.
I enjoy. I like all that space stuff. I mean, All the Right Stuff used to be one of my favorite movies when I was growing up. So I think a lot of it too is just like those opening, not the opening scenes, but like when they're testing them and they're doing all like the different testing and stuff. I think that's so cool.
Now, continuing with other topics in the news that we haven't mentioned, I don't know. Brittany Griner made her first appearance in court a few days ago. Now there's speculation that she is going to be part of a prisoner exchange. So it could be good news on the Brittany Griner front that she could be part of a swap and could be back in the U.S. just in time for the WNBA playoffs, I guess.
I have not seen any of that, so I don't know what's there, but good for her.
Oh yeah, I mean it's genuinely awful.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine few things worse than and this moment in time being stuck in a Russian prison, knowing that regardless of what you've done, there is a good chance that you are just being used as an example and just
N-
might never get out.
Now, here's the question: do you think, one, if she's not a U.S. athlete and it's just an average person that no one really knows except for the 300 friends on Facebook, is she A, treated like that, and B, do the U.S. make a prisoner exchange?
So I would say they probably B, I think, is the easier one to answer, and I think no. I think the reality is because she's famous and because that has then increased the amount of sort of media attention that this situation has sort of been able to receive. I think there's no way she's part of a swap. But then who knows? For all I know, there's prisoner exchanges and swaps going on a virtually daily basis. And it's just that we don't hear
Hey,
about them.
TLC's on like season 25, a wife swap, so they're swapping like crazy.
Maybe they should force Brittany Griner to do a season of wife swap. Like that should be. It's like
Any prisoner swaps have to participate in wife swap. That's a new
yes,
American rule. Right,
yeah,
write it in.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, as to whether or not she would be being held in the way, part of me thinks yes, that they would just be holding any American or potentially British person or European as in the way that they are with her. But it probably doesn't help her cause that they know that it's like a very public example that they're able to set. And tidying up on some other news that we've mentioned in recent weeks, I think last episode we discussed Barcelona's fundraising in the way that they've been able to the investment that they took
Yeah,
to finance their summer spending spree that they've gone on. I think we could just a few more the details of that investment have come out. So they raised 300 million euros from a US based investment firm called Sixth Street. And in exchange for that, Sixth Street has the rights to 15% of their domestic TV right revenue over the next 25 years. So
they're
current,
domestic, as in the U.S.'s,
no,
because the
Spain's, as
company.
in,
Oh, okay, okay,
yeah, which would I assume be their largest, media
yeah.
rights deal. Which means on current estimates that $300 million investment over the course of 25 years will return. Sorry, 300 million euro investment over the course of 25 years will return 700 million euros.
Not a bad investment if Barcelona
No,
don't go bankrupt before that. Well,
that's the risk.
they are bankrupt if they don't get a repercussion for being bankrupt in the next 25 years.
No, I mean, this seems like a really dangerous financial move from Barcelona's perspective. You really are leveraging your future just in order to try and, have a little bit of short term success. They're obviously still in a period anyway where some of that summer signing, they can't even register them right now because of the financial risk. So Lewandowski and Rafinha cannot currently be registered for the team until they can get Frankie de Jong to either leave or take a pay cut. So they need him to be sold basically, because it seems unlikely he seems to have decided he's not taking a pay cut, which I
Yeah.
don't blame him for.
No, at this point, I just stick in there and fuck them.
No, because like if you are trying to convince someone, hey, we really need you to take a pay cut for the good of the team, like this is just what we need you to do. Unfortunately, the financial situation means we have no other choice. And then you see them go out and raise 300 million euros and bring in. I mean, Lewandowski probably earning more than he is. When you see those things happening, you're probably like, "Oh, screw this! I'm not taking a pay cut then." But speaking of former co-host Sam, obviously he is in Paris at the moment, and I have seen him.
Boo.
Seen him again. He's a difficult person to see. He has such
I
a
thought you were
busy.
going to say he's a
He's
different person. He's a very different person than when he was on the podcast. He's completely changed.
yeah. He did compliment. He doesn't listen to the podcast. However, he did make the comment. He said he saw the new episode pop up with lights, camera, and action, and he said, "I really liked the title." That
Oh,
was the.
thanks.
But that shows the
Wow.
support that our former co-host is giving us.
What a
But
guy.
uh, we did go and watch England in the women's Euros semifinal, and as
Domination.
yes, a very good performance from them. Not the finest goalkeeping performance I've ever seen from the Swedish goalkeeper. I think that was
Oh, are
wasn't
we gonna get another sexist goalie rant here, Eddie?
it
Just
wasn't the
stop. Just
greatest
stop doubling down on it.
it wasn't the greatest advertisement. And hey, look, I'm not even the one who's getting in trouble. Alex Scott, the BBC presenter, former England international, who was part of the BBC studio sort of lineup for that match, afterwards said, because so the Sweden goalkeeper plays for Chelsea, but when the new manager came into Chelsea, she was dropped and replaced by a new goalkeeper. And Alex Scott made a statement somewhere along the lines of, "It shows you what a good manager the Chelsea manager is, because she could see that the Sweden goalkeeper was past her best and that they needed to move on." And then she's been heavily criticized on social media, some of which obviously started immediately, because then when they kind of came back to the topic 5 minutes later, she'd obviously probably been told that, you're getting a little bit of a backlash for what you just said. She said, I wasn't that I wasn't being disrespectful. So take her exact quote. So her first quote was, so no, her follow up quote was, "That's not me disrespecting her. That's just me praising the intelligence of Emma Hayes, knowing when to move a player on. I feel bad. I didn't mean to disrespect her." I mean, I would argue that saying that's not me disrespecting her, that's just the manager being really smart and knowing when to move on, is still kind of disrespecting her. And then she said, "What I mean is, I played against her a lot in my career, and you always know she's not that good moving her feet and adjusting quickly. And for three of the goals, she's just got to be questioned." I would say double down on the disrespect by
Yeah.
not even saying past her best, but this was always a weakness. That's it's not, oh, she's 39 now and she's not as good as she used to be. It's, she was never that good at that anyway. And I have to admit, I don't like people like, sometimes when people get upset when someone in studio or a commentator is critical of an athlete's performance. I mean, that's kind of their job. Like, you can't be too sensitive. Someone is there to say that wasn't good. They're not good at this. That was disappointing. They have to do better there. I mean, that is the job of someone, sharing their opinion or commentating on a sport. But so watch the game with Sam, and then afterwards, kind of one of my something that's become more and more of a, a pet peeve, I guess, or something that really annoys me, and that is
Oh wow, what a list this must be. This is
yes, no,
now something that's added to your list of 75 pages of pet peeves for
it's
this
an
year.
extremely long it's an extremely long list. This one is rapidly climbing in the rankings. I'll say that. And and that is the fact that so many teams now play Sweet Caroline either during or, more importantly, after they play.
The
In particular
things,
in
the
England.
things that bother you. It's just so good. Oh, the things that get you agitated just fucking make me crack up, man.
But I want to explain this. I kind of grew up, in my family. Like, Neil Diamond was one of the, like, sort of artists that, I mean, not wouldn't classify him necessarily as any of my parents' favorite, but definitely I grew up unironically liking Neil Diamond. I have a slight issue with this popularity of Sweet Caroline came back in at first ironically, and then now people, I think, generally like it unironically.
Okay,
But
boomer.
that's how it kind of came back. The thing that bothers me the most, though, it's not a dislike of the song itself. It is that, in particular, when you're looking at the England women do it, the England men do it. You see it in England cricket, England rugby, a lot of times afterwards. And I get it; it's a good, like, stadium sing along song. Most people know the words. It has, like, fun choruses, little interactive pieces. But when it comes to England, a country with such a rich music, pop music, rock music history and culture, why do you have an American artist, an American song, as the thing you choose to have as, like, your post-winning anthem? It really bothers me.
Oh, this is just anti-American hate
It's not
masked
a
masked in a pet peeve.
it's not an anti-American thing. It would be the same, but do you see what I mean? Like, and we got into this whole discussion about, who would you choose? I think you could have, there's a host of songs, be it by the Beatles or Oasis or, whoever, whatever period in time you want to choose a relevant British artist, you could have chosen one. And the fact that, and really it's no one actively choosing it, right? It's stadium DJs who are basically just making, and part of the thing that annoys me is like they're kind of just getting, they're uncreative and unimaginative, and they're just relying on the thing that everyone else is doing. But it really genuinely bothers me. Like I don't want to watch England win the World Cup and sing Sweet Caroline afterwards. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Oh man, it's just okay. I don't even know how to respond to that. I
I'm
guess
sure I'm not alone in this respect.
I'm sure there are other people that get annoyed at every aspect of life and fun that are equally upset, who go back and watch movies as assholes.
No, who are just assholes who going back and watch movies.
So here's my question then. It's also a very popular wedding song. Are you okay with it at an American wedding, but against it at an English wedding?
No, it can be at any wedding. To me, it's the connection between, it's a national, like an international team and an international sporting event, and you should be trying to choose something that kind of represents your overall culture in a way. And to choose an American, and it's not like, again, if it were a different country and there was a complete lack of viable options, but the fact that from English artists over the past 60 or 70 years, you would have, dozens of very popular, very well known, good stadium sing along songs to choose from. So to go for you know, uh, an American artist who has up until recently been, you know, unpopular for a sustained period of time. It's not like the England football team have been doing this ever since Sweet
But
Caroline came out.
I mean, I guess what about Three Lions?
So Three Lions,
I mean, that's played all the time. We went to the
it is,
bar
but
and watched England play, and they played it 17 times.
after the stadiums, like when the teams themselves win, they're not sort of singing Three Lions, and
Oh,
I'm
I
happy
would
with.
really. You don't think if England won the Euros, that wouldn't be the song that they'd be playing?
So of course it's going to be played, but what I mean is you're seeing on a match by match basis Sweet Caroline a lot more. And here's, I don't want Three Lions to be the direct replacement for that, because I do think if you're always doing the Three Lions thing, it reduces a little bit the significance of the song, which is so tied to major tournaments themselves, but also there are people who don't understand that the part of the Three Lions aspect is
That
like
they
people
never
think it's
win.
over. Yeah, people think it's just like overconfidence and the English ego, but in reality, especially if you listen to the words, it's more the kind of continual misery of being an England supporter, but somehow maintaining an element of hope. But I do think if that was just getting played after every match or after every victory, you might see that get even more lost. So that would be a thing. But I just think there's so many to choose from. And it's not just the football team, the cricket team, the rugby team, all of them. They're all using it. And it's just at this point it's annoying me.
I've got no follow up.
That's fine. That's
I don't know.
that's fine. That's my rant for the day.
Well, let me take us to American football then for a little bit, because they just started training camp for American football, so it's definitely
For
in
the
full
NFL, yeah.
swing, and you're going to have some preseason games coming up shortly. But I guess there's been two main talking points right now. One is in the virtual front, and that was the Madden 23 released all their ratings over. Now it's like a 2 week ordeal how they release them. Like every day they release a new position and who's the 99 club and this and that. So I have all of the positions and all the rankings. We won't go through all of them. I just want to go through the top 10 quarterbacks, and you tell me whether you agree with Madden on these rankings. So for the quarterbacks, no one is a perfect 99. Tom Brady is the number one quarterback in Madden 23 at 97. Aaron Rodgers, number 2 at 96. Patrick Mahomes at 95. Then there is a drop off to number 4, which is Josh Allen at 92. And then another drop off to number 5, which is Joe Burrows at 90, Prescott at 89, Herbert at 88, Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson at 87, and then Stafford all the way down at 85. Dropping out of the top 10 from last year is Deshaun Watson, Ryan Tannehill, which I don't know how he snuck in last year, and Matt Ryan. So how do we feel about them? Basically, you have a grouping at the top of 3 of Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, then Allen just behind, and then another group of emerging quarterbacks in the Burrow, Prescott, Herbert, Jackson.
None of them seem too out of place. I mean, yeah, I mean, some of the ratings seem a little high, but I mean, this is just an issue I have with Madden overall now because there is like some of them have to get the 99 rating. Like, I don't think like Tom Brady's rating there is too high.
Think it's too high.
At the same, yeah.
So
I think
I was going to put it to you this way: if you had a team and you had your choice of quarterback just for this year, you're not looking at contracts, blah blah blah. You want to go out and win this year. Is he your number 1 pick for quarterback?
I mean, assuming I have a good team, like I have
Yeah.
no other good defense, good things, good weapons around him.
You just literally have no quarterback, and you can get anyone you want.
Yeah, if I want to win this year, I'm taking Tom Brady.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the safest bet, right?
Over Rodgers?
I mean, yeah, Rodgers has won once.
Okay.
You know, like he's definitely the safest bet from that perspective.
Okay.
I think Rodgers is more talented than Tom Brady is. You know, like that. I get it when people say that Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback in the league, but you know, especially after I saw him, you know, strut up to training camp dressed like he was coming out of, you know, Con Air or whatever it was.
Yes, it was supposed to be Nick Cage and Con Air.
I would have. So you remember when we discussed these weird, this weird commitment he has to his costumes.
I mean, I really enjoy the comment I made is that he really nailed the costume of looking like Nicolas Cage and Con Air, except for being a professional athlete. He was in way worse shape than Nicolas Cage looked in Con Air, being in a prison for the last 10 years of his life.
Yeah, which kind of makes sense, you know, like because you got, but I mean, yeah, he's just
I know how you feel about Mahomes, so I know you're not picking Mahomes over Brady.
Well, here's the other thing we get into too, because there's the like larger conversation to be had about Madden itself, which is yeah, okay, you can have Mahomes as like if we're playing Madden, I definitely want Mahomes because Madden you want a mobile quarterback, so that's the issue where these Madden rankings sometimes everyone kind of really discusses them in
everyone just is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
it's so they people can get really worked up over them, but it's like that. But the way that you actually play the game, you probably don't want Tom Brady. You're not going to just sit in the pocket and try and pick teams apart. There's not a lot of people doing that, but that's a whole nother debate.
Yeah, but I mean that's for the game though. But I mean in terms of their rankings, that I think they rank off of actual characteristics, not just.
But that's the interesting thing, right? Is they're creating both the gameplay and the rankings. So you would think if you worked at EA and you would say, "Hey, we think that Tom Brady is the best quarterback in the NFL, but we are creating a game where Tom Brady is in no way the best quarterback within the game itself. Something is wrong with the gameplay." I mean, that's a much more detailed.
That's a debate about EA.
Yeah, no. Which look, EA does not get a lot of love at the moment.
So I think my question, the one that I debated the most in my head, was Joe Burrow at 5 versus Justin Herbert at 7.
I think they're both too high.
I knew you were going to say that. I don't know who you move up. Actually, I'll tell you the one that you can
Lamar
maybe
Jackson.
Move up. No.
I mean, you can say what you want about Lamar Jackson, but there's a certain moment in time where you might need to be getting really high rankings. You need a little bit of a CV. And when you're talking about guys who've had in Joe Burrow's case, you know, like 1.6 seasons or whatever he's had in the NFL, to be saying, well, he's the fifth best, which that bit bothers me. Matthew Stafford is too high to me as well. That's such an overreaction to him joining a good Rams team and winning the Super Bowl. Like if they had lost to the Niners in the NFC Championship game, he's not in the top 10. If you see what I mean, like that's how stupid
Yeah.
that is. And
I mean,
like
he's 10 though. He's 10.
he's still in
It's
the
not
top
that
10 though.
high. He's in the top third of all QBs. I mean, that's not an outrageous statement.
There's people I'd have ahead of him though who aren't in the list. Who are like there's definitely people who I'd have ahead of him.
What about Russell Wilson all the way down at 9? Do you think that's a slight on Russell Wilson a little bit there?
Yeah, again, in the same category, like I would put Russell Wilson ahead of Burrow and Herbert because you actually know exactly what he is. It's not, oh, we're basing on the fact that they will continue to progress or that they will replicate, that this really small sample size of performances that they've had so far. We think that they can do that over a sustained period of time. With Russell Wilson, you know exactly what he is. Certain limitations, maybe a little bit of a downturn over the last couple of seasons. Some of that people think is linked to the play calling and just the kind of focus of the overall team. Maybe that will get fixed in Denver. But yeah, I think if you're giving an honest assessment and not trying to pick like based on very recent events, Russell Wilson should probably be top 5.
Yeah, I don't understand the Russell Wilson being dropped. I mean, last year the year before last year, he had one of his best seasons. I mean, he had 40 touchdowns in that season in 2020, which is his career high. And then last year, the team was just really bad. I mean, the record, he was 6-8 as a starter, which isn't good. But I think that's unfair criticism towards him when he didn't have a good team around him. He still had 25 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions in the 14 games he started. I mean, that's still 103 passer rating. That's really freaking good for a team that he had DK Metcalf and not much more. So no defense either. So I think when you're looking at, like you said, the resume, I don't see the drop off on Russell Wilson that much that you drop him all the way down there below Burrow and Herbert and Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott. I mean, I would put him below Josh Allen. I would put Russell Wilson 5th, and then from there you can kind of mix and match the Burrow, Prescott, Herbert, Jackson. Kind of, I think they are all kind of similar in their total rankings, but I think Russell Wilson here is the one who should be a little angry. Not that I don't think at his stage, I don't think he's a player who gets angry at Madden. I think the younger guys, that I think it does piss them off a little bit, but I think Russell Wilson at this point in his life doesn't really give a shit. I saw he just bought like a monster mansion in Denver, like the most expensive house on the market ever in Denver. So I don't think he really cares about his Madden ranking too much.
I'm sure he cares. I think professional athletes just by default kind of care. Like I think part of what motivates you to drives you to get to that level, whilst it's not the outside noise might not be something that's really causing you too much of a disturbance. I bet you there is him looking at that list being like, really? You think Justin Herbert's a better quarterback than I am? How many playoff wins does he have? Like I'm sure there is, or his teammates are commenting on to him. I mean, look, this is a guy who just turned up to the first day of like preseason
In his
wearing
own jersey.
I mean, that's insane. That's just like I can't imagine being a professional athlete and just wearing my own jersey around.
Do you wear it in your home?
No. I don't think
You don't
I
wake
would
up and throw
wear
on a t-shirt jersey of yourself.
I think if I were like Russell Wilson level of professional athlete, I'm wearing no team related, me related gear at any point.
Yeah, I haven't really seen that much in my life. He's one of the first I've ever seen wear his own jersey.
The own jersey, but if you see what I mean, I'm not him walking around in a Denver Broncos t-shirt. Like I'm not even doing that. Like outside of yes, if
Well,
you're
like
going
team
to
sponsored or something, yeah.
If you're going to something where that's expected, like okay, I'm going to practice, so I'm just wearing my hoodie and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's different. But as in, if you're just like, oh, I saw Russell Wilson out to lunch the other day, and he was in his Broncos hoodie, that to
Yeah.
me would be weird.
Yeah,
Like
you know what?
that's
It's really funny too because I feel, at least in America, a lot of people who are out think people are professional athletes based off of what they're wearing, and it's literally what I say to them every time. Like, oh, look at that guy. He's in like a New York Giants t-shirt. You think he's pretty big? You think he plays for the Giants? Like, yeah, I'm sure the guy who plays for the Giants making millions of dollars is going out being like, I want to wear my New York Giants t-shirt so everyone recognizes and annoys the shit out of me. Like, no, I'm sure they don't.
now here's the thing is maybe it's like hiding in plain sight, and maybe that's the best
Oh,
way
like
to
okay,
not be.
all right.
That's the best because you look at him and you go, "Hey, look at that guy in the Russell Wilson jersey. He looks a lot like Russell Wilson. There's no way he could be Russell Wilson."
Yeah.
Like maybe it's the double bluff that then gets people. I mean, there's that possibility, but the fact that he's going to
I love hearing those stories about like celebrities and professional athletes when people go up to them or like, you know what, you look a lot like Jason Sudeikis. It's like, oh really? Yeah, cool. It's like, and it's them. It's so good. So I mean, just besides that, Aaron Donald again was a 99 ranking. The best running back, Eddie. I don't know if did you see this? Have you seen
no,
this
not at
list?
all.
Okay. Do you want to guess who the top 3 running backs are?
Um, I mean, the best running back, yeah, the number one has to be Derrick Henry.
Yeah. He's number 1 at 97,
I mean,
but 2 right behind him.
and here's the thing I'll say is I don't think anyone should be a 99 because I think that's implying you're like perfect at what you do. So I don't think,
So you don't think Aaron Donald should be 99?
no, I think
Huh.
99 should be unobtainable. I mean, they've made 100 unobtainable, right? They've done that, but I think 99 should be unobtainable. Like,
Okay.
I think it should just literally be, no, that doesn't, it kind of doesn't exist. Like, you're not perfect. You're not the best at every aspect of your position, which is basically what they should be saying for 99. Like, if we're using multiple areas to assess you, unless we're literally saying Aaron Donald is the best at like every single thing he needs to do,
He might be.
he's not though.
Run, stop, sacks.
But anyway, if they're giving out 99s, Derrick Henry should also be a 99. If you see what I mean, like,
Yeah, it's yeah, it is a little inconceivable. Well, I think what's more inconceivable is he's a 97 and
okay,
there are
so
2 right behind him at 96.
I'll guess Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb is a 96, which I think is a little, I don't think it's high. I think it's high in relation to Derrick Henry,
Yeah, it is.
as you're saying.
And then I'd be torn between 2 for the other. I'm going to give it to. So I'll say who I think it could be first, but I don't think it is them. But I could see
Okay.
why Madden would just give him too much credit, which is like Ezekiel Elliott. But I think it will be Jonathan Taylor just based on how good of a season he had last year.
Okay, Ezekiel Elliott is 10th. Jonathan Taylor is 4th. You're forgetting tied for second with Nick Chubb is Christian McCaffrey
Oh,
at
that makes
96.
sense. Yeah, kind of forget him.
And then the wide receivers, the 99 ranking of Devontae Adams was a pretty big debate as well. Because going along what you're saying, I don't think in any way Devontae Adams is that transcendent of a wide receiver that he's a 99. Like, I agree, not there should be very little 99s. I'm okay with Aaron Donald because he could go down as the greatest
Player in
defensive tackle
of
in
all time.
NFL history. Devontae Adams in no way, shape, or form is going to go down as the greatest wide receiver in history.
I think also, if nothing else, if they're giving you a 99, it has to be not even a debate as to whether or not you're the best person in your position at that moment in time. And yes, there's going to be a lot of people who think that Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. But if you just opened that debate up, there's going to be a number of other names thrown out there and a number of people who believe very strongly that he isn't the best. And that's not them saying that he's bad, but they are going to be picking other people as to who they think is better.
Yeah.
So that's my other issue with giving him a 99.
Yeah, you're right.
But I guess speaking
and it'll
of,
be interesting. Now he's on the Raiders, so it'll be interesting to see how he does without Aaron Rodgers.
yeah,
Although he thinks
he's linking up with his
I don't know
former
if you saw that.
college quarterback.
Did you see the statement? He said something along the lines of, "It's really nice to go from one Hall of Fame quarterback to another Hall of Fame quarterback." So he has high hopes for Derek Carr's career.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would have put Derek Carr in the top 10 on the Madden, but we we don't have to get into that debate. But I guess speaking of NFL wide receivers, the really big news out of this week was Julio Jones signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, continuing to. I mean, this is the thing that's unfair with both the Buccaneers, right, and just Tom Brady in general, which is you get these players signing on for far less money than they would anywhere else because they know it's their best chance to win a championship, and you've got these players just signing Super Bowl contracts basically. Give me 1 year with Tom Brady and let's hope for the best, and I'll take league minimum or whatever it is you're going to offer me. And then they're able to put together these near on super teams of aging superstars and put and put them all together. And again, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who when Brady retired, were looking at the prospect of maybe not even being a playoff team, are suddenly now moving themselves into, I think, with some bookmakers now, they're even favorites to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a great signing for them. You're right. It's a little unfair, but at the same time, there are certain players where I'm okay with it. I think Julio Jones is one of them. He suffered for a long time on the Falcons, just being on a mediocre team, doing anything humanly possible he could do to make them winners, and they just weren't. It's unfortunate though, because I thought when he went to the Titans that would be good, and I thought I thought that was a good spot for him. It just didn't work out. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. And receivers are tough, right? Because I feel like sometimes they fall off cliffs, and they go from
Yeah.
being a 98, 99 in Madden to getting 2 targets a game. And Julio Jones could just be at that point in his career where he's just not at all what he was, and
No.
we'll see.
The good thing though, and look, there's a long list of wide receivers who, when Brady was at the Patriots, I mean, I think the most famous one in some respects of that would have been Ocho Cinco, who tried to do the same thing, sign up for his Super Bowl basically, and kind of put that
Yep.
stamp on his career, and then ended up being in a Super Bowl that the Patriots lost, and he wasn't targeted a single time in the Super Bowl itself. I do think, yes, there's the risk that Julio Jones has just fallen off a cliff. Part of me feels like he was never so reliant on speed, like his overall physical like ability, that probably means he'll still be usable in one way or another. I do also agree with you that he was so good in his prime that you feel like he kind of deserves this shot on being, and he like suffered through a lot of bad seasons with the Falcons. So I don't feel as if he's just sort of ring chasing in a position where he shouldn't be. And then I guess even if he's even if his levels have dropped significantly, you know that if you're a team facing them, you'll still be afraid enough of Julio Jones's ability that he has to get significant attention when he's on the field. And when you have Tom Brady at quarterback who can then just pick you apart, when he knows, well, okay, they have to give some respect to Julio Jones being out there, then that might open up options somewhere else on the field. And that in and of itself is just a useful weapon for the Bucks to have.
Yeah, I mean, now you're looking at Julio Jones, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin, and actually Russell Gage, who isn't that bad either as a fourth wide receiver. It's pretty devastating.
Again, from an offensive weapon standpoint, they have a ton of options. So assuming, and it's a big assumption based on his age, it's not a big assumption based on his injury record, but assuming that you get a full season out of Tom Brady without any major incidents, then I mean, you have to. I mean, I can't see a way they don't win their division. I can't see the way that they're not either the 1 or the 2 seed, and as a result of that, you're like penciling them in to the NFC Championship game probably, and then potentially even into another Super Bowl appearance.
Not on the top 10 Madden quarterback rankings, Kyler Murray inked an enormous deal of 230 million, and we talked about this with the 160 million guaranteed, and we talked about whether this is a necessity for the Cardinals or not. What we didn't talk about was the slight clause in the
I
contract.
wouldn't call it a slight clause.
Well, a slightly hidden clause that everyone did pick up on because people read contracts, and it was that the quarterback must spend at least 4 hours per week in quotes independent study during the regular season and playoffs. During that time, he must review, again in quotes, material provided to him by the club in order to prepare for the club's next upcoming game.
And this also and also to clarify for people who don't understand that, so it's studying game tape, basically, is what they want him to do. But in addition, they also clarify when they're saying independent study, this is separate from anything he does like within the facility as the team. He needs to be at home for 4 hours a week studying game tape.
Yeah. Or going over schemes or something.
And more importantly, there's a further aspect to that clause where they specifically state that it must be the thing he's focusing on. So he can't be watching TV and looking at game tape, or playing a video game and looking at
Yep.
game tape. He needs to be just watching game tape to count for those 4 hours.
Yeah. That was also part of that. Yes, he can't be doing other activities during this. This is just, I don't know why. I get kind of why the Cardinals do it, in the sense that this kind of does give them a little bit of a escape. If he doesn't do this and doesn't give a shit about being a professional quarterback and does poorly, they can cite this and kind of get out of the contract. But is it worth it at the end of the day? Because now you've made your quarterback look like a I don't want to say an idiot, but you make him look like a non-committed person who is clearly just in it for the money and the fun and doesn't give a crap about his team, his profession, anything. When you counter that, I think someone was talking about Peyton Manning. They said that Peyton Manning would spend, he said he could never put a number on it, but it was at least 20 hours a week outside of the facility, but probably closer to 30 to 35 hours a week that Manning would spend outside of the facility. And you can imagine Manning was probably at the facility, the first one there and the last one to leave, and then going home and doing 30 additional hours. When you compare that to Kyler Murray here, to have to put in a clause that you have to put in 1 hour a week, or sorry, 1 hour a day for only 4 days a week. That is, when you break it down like that, that is so pathetic. And
Yeah.
I just, is it worth outing him as being potentially that type of player to put that in?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a damning indictment of what they think of him. So I think the first question is, be like, if you have that image of a person in terms of their dedication and their willingness to try and get better and do the best at their job, how on earth are you signing up to pay them $200+ million? Like there's that bit.
Yeah.
That is and we spoke about on the last episode kind of why maybe they didn't have too much of a choice in that respect. But yeah, I mean, it is, NFL quarterbacks undoubtedly work extremely hard, and the hours they put in a facility in order to be good. And so, yeah, asking for that extra hour a week, I mean, that does seem low, and I would imagine that most quarterbacks in the NFL are surpassing that by a huge amount. So, I mean, imagine, what do you think Tom Brady's doing? Tom Brady must look at a clause like that in a contract and just, I mean, he must immediately go, well, I'm beating the Cardinals this year. Like that's all
Yeah.
he's doing. Like that's how well he's going to know our defense is, But
I mean, Brady's probably looking at it 4 hours a week. I spend more than 4 hours a day
probably,
at home doing additional research.
it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, yeah, this is a guy, right, who sends his family away at times so that he can be alone in the house. Like,
Well, he just sends them to another wing of the home.
yeah, but so he can entirely focus on preparing for a game. So I'm I'm not surprised in, I guess, the motivation from a Cardinals perspective. Yeah, you are kind of outing him. There is a risk that, I mean, look, he signed the contract, so he knew that this was going to go public. I guess there's a risk that he gets the backlash and then is unhappy about the fact that maybe he didn't think the backlash would be as extreme. Maybe if the Cardinals, maybe they have legitimate concerns about his work ethic and they want an out. Like maybe there's.
Oh, I mean, I 100% think it's an escape clause for them.
But I don't know. Here's the real question: how is it in any way enforceable? Like how, for example, okay, they can maybe track the 4 hours because they can give him an iPad to,
He has to like sign on or
or they
something.
have some kind of tracking software on it, so they can do that. So
Yeah.
that bit of it they can.
You pull the Jamarcus Russell, you give him blank tapes,
Yes,
and then you ask him about him the next day.
but what they can't do, what seems totally unenforceable, is that it has to be the only thing he's focusing on, unless
Yeah.
someone is going to be, unless there's going to be like an intern at the Cardinals, and they give him an iPad and they basically tell him, as soon as you start reviewing game tape, the camera on the iPad is recording your face, and someone is going to review that footage and decide as to whether or not it looked as if you were just focused on that iPad. That is the only way to me that it is in any way sort of possible to judge. Everything else, he could just like put clips on the iPad and it says like, okay, he watched 7 hours of clips last week. Or even if he wanted, he could sit somewhere and move his finger on different things, to like show activity. Anyone who's had kind of tracking software working from home knows that there are good ways around all of them. So this is the part to me that I kind of don't get, is like, yes, you're putting the clause in, but are you ever going to be in a position where you can unequivocally prove? Because it's not like they can then say, hey, you're gone. We've cut you, and we're doing it on the basis of this clause in your contract. You're then getting into a legal nightmare of him. They don't even define specifically, whilst they do say with electronic devices and stuff, they don't define that it has to be with a official team provided electronic device. So say, for example, you did try to cut him on that basis and he went to court over it for, wrongful dismissal. And then they said to him, well, look, we don't have any evidence that you used your, team issued iPad to look at game tape. He could turn around and say, oh, but I was watching game tape on my personal computer. You never told me I had to do it I don't like using that iPad. Like, I want a bigger screen. I want to use a mouse. So like, it seems kind of pointless. It just seems a way of telling the world Kyler Murray doesn't work very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I don't understand why you want to do that, considering this is the same player who still had years left on his contract, but was so unhappy that he removed all Cardinals related pictures and photos from his Instagram, like a 14-year-old girl who just broke up with her boyfriend. A very childish move.
But didn't just do that. Also released an official statement through his agent saying that he was moving on.
Yeah.
And that was February 14th. He released that statement.
Fucking Valentine's Day.
So 4 months later, is that right? 4 months later, he then signs a $250 million contract.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why you want to poke the bear that did that. But, and then the other aspect of why I don't know why you do that, when you really think about it, so they play their games on Sunday. They probably have Monday off to a large extent, and then you're going Tuesday through Saturday. So you have 5 non-game work days. Let's call them work days. That is less than an hour a day for there. I have to imagine the elite level QBs are at least, let's put a very bare minimum, 2 hours a day. So if you put in the contract 10 hours a week, that to me seems like a legitimate, hey, we know you're good, but we think you could be doing a little more at home on your own. 2 hours a day, that's what almost everyone's doing. Give us 10 hours a week. When you say four is so small that you could literally, he could go on, like you said, he could go on Monday or Tuesday and sit on his iPad for 4 hours, not really paying attention, just scrolling through, even if he's just doing that. 4 hours is not a lot of time to kill. You can kill 4 hours pretty quick. You can kill it in 4 hours. And then you're done, right? And then nothing's been accomplished.
Okay, but I think we do have to put in the context, right, that an NFL quarterback on a day, you're making it seem like they are mostly sitting at home. He's going to have to be in the facility at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. most days, and he's leaving, even if he's lazy, he's still leaving at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night every day during it.
Oh, I don't think it's, I think you're blowing that a little out of proportion.
I don't think I am.
I think it's like a 9 to 7.
Let's
not
call it
7 to 10.
Okay, let's call it a 9 till 7. I think that
Okay.
I don't think there are many NFL quarterbacks strolling into their facility at 9. If they are, they're all lying. because every single one of them talks about, Cam Newton had that famous quote about how he was waking up at 4:30 and he was out the door at 4:45 or whatever it is. Every single one of them talks about how early they wake up, how early they go. Same with NFL head coaches, how they just live their life within the facility. It would kind of blow my mind if he's getting. I think he's not getting the contract if he's turning up at 9 a.m. On a consistent basis. But let's even call it that. I think asking them to start to do multiple hours a day on top of that, I think there's a moment where, as a player, you might even say, wait, you're making this is now enforced. This might not be the best way for me to prepare for a game. So I don't find the 4 hours to necessarily, from a contractual, this is a minimum, right? If you started putting minimums at 10 hours, so then you're like, well, the minimum is 10. Expectation's like 15. Minimum is 10. What they're saying is like minimum is 4. Expectation is probably significantly higher, but you're in trouble if you're dipping below 4. I The number there doesn't bother me that much. I do think it just is, it's revealing in terms of what they think of him. And also, like, there's other elements. This is only required during game weeks. So during his bye week, there's no requirement that he does any additional studying. There's other parts of it. And I'm sure there would have been a back and forth on this clause with his agent in terms of trying to find out exactly what the requirements should be in terms of the number of hours, where, when, how. But yeah, I just think it shows from his perspective, he's either he or his agent quite self-aware, because to allow that clause to be put in shows that, it's kind of, because I would almost be, if I was trying to negotiate a contract for work and there was something I thought I was good at that someone was requiring, I put like a clause that seems somewhat sort of to imply that I wasn't good at it. That would be one where I was like, we don't even need this. Like, me, that this isn't an issue. You don't need to do that. Now, there's other things that, I can assess myself and be like, all right, I'm probably not the best at that. So we can put that in the contract because, yeah, I need to improve there and I need to make sure I do that. So it shows that he obviously thinks, probably is aware of that. And it just shows what the team thinks of him.
Yeah, it's not a good look at all. And I just don't know. We'll see. For someone who seems very temperamental, I don't know if that was the right move to already have him kind of angry at a $230 million contract he signed, and then the next day to kind of be unhappy about it or unhappy with the organization about it. That's not a good way to start that contract. But I guess going to a lighter topic, Eddie. Ronaldo, for as great as he is, has had issues with statues. Most famously, the statue that looked nothing like him being made. But have you seen the new issue he has with not that statue, but the one that's on the island off of Portugal where he grew up?
Yeah, the island where he's from.
Yeah, they put a statue in, I think, a few years ago. Have you seen the issue with this statue that's arisen?
No,
arisen?
I've seen the statue, but I've not seen the.
So it's basically a full body statue of him kind of just standing. So the entire body there. It's made of bronze, and it's very worn down on his hands because people are always holding his hands. So his hands are like a much lighter color than the rest of the bronze statue. But that's not the only place they're holding, because his crotch is a very bright, shiny yellow, because everyone who takes the picture apparently just grabs his crotch area. So you have a statue of Ronaldo that's bronze with yellow hands and a yellow crotch. And it's become such an issue that they've been debating what to do about it and how to fix it.
I mean, if I'm him, I can understand if you're like the tourist board or whatever, or responsible for the statue. I understand why you might want to change it. If you're him, this wouldn't bother me at all. Like, I'd think it was kind of funny. I will say, looking at the statue from it's not particularly lifelike in any way, shape, or form. Like, his arm length and stuff is really weird, and just the overall dimensions of his body seem strange. I do.
You always make hands bigger, Eddie, on a statue.
Yes, yeah, but I do understand that he, in order to look lifelike, when you do look at his crotch, they have put like some visible bulge there, because usually when you're playing sports in shorts, like there is some kind of outline there, right? Like it's not just completely flat. Now, you could say, was that necessary? Like, would have anyone have, when you think of all the other issues in terms of the dimensions and just the overall look of this statue, would people have said, hey, look, the face doesn't look a lot like him. The hands are way too big. The arms are way too small. His shoulders look really weird. Like, it's just the proportions are odd. But my real issue with this is the fact that there's no visible bulge in his shorts. Like, that's the bit you could have maybe seen this one coming.
Oh.
That wasn't meant in any way as a kind of pun.
I know we were supposed to record yesterday, and I ended up getting pretty exhausted helping a friend pretty much pack their house up into their moving truck, which I enjoy immensely. They like didn't understand that I like doing it, and like, oh, it's like we'll take you out to dinner, and I was like, no, like I like it. This is fun. This is a fun afternoon for me. But I was disappointed because I arrived. I was supposed to get there at 9. I didn't get there till like 10:15, and the other person that they had asked to help move had moved like a majority of the boxes. We did all the heavy stuff like the furniture and stuff when I got there, but he had done all the boxes, and I was actually a little pissed off because like, oh, I missed out on like a quarter of the move. But the reason I missed out is I don't want to be mean. I don't think this person will listen to the podcast, and I don't think maybe some people at my gym do. I don't want to be mean, but I was late because of one of the dumbest things someone has done in my immediate like surroundings in a very long time. So I go to the gym I go to the same gym every time. It's a smaller gym. And when you go in, there's like a little shelf with like a nook that you can put in your bags and things like that. And then on the shelf, people will just usually put like their keys and their phone or whatever. Um, so every day I put my keys up there, my headphones, my case, and put my headphones in, do my workout. So I come back and I'm ready to leave. And I grab my headphone case, throw my headphones, grab my drink, and then I go to grab my keys and they're not there. And I'm like, oh, what? Like, where the hell are my keys? And I look over to like the other side of the shelf, and there are like my keys. So I go, I grab my keys, and then I grab them and I look at them. I'm like, this seems weird. And then like when I look at them a little closer, they're actually not my keys, but it's the exact same fob. It's like a Toyota fob that that like the wireless whatever. But then when you flip it over, it says Toyota Highlander, and I have a Camry, so I was like, oh, these aren't mine. And then the keys, there was like the same amount of keys on there, but they were clearly different than the keys. Like once you take a look, they're like, these aren't my keys. So I put them back down, and then I'm looking all over. I can't find them. I can't find them. I go outside because I think, all right, maybe I left my keys in my car because it's one of the, it's wireless, so you can do that a lot of times. You can just leave your keys in your car. And I go, and the trunk is open. And I'm like, what the fuck is my trunk open for? And then I go, and the car is unlocked. And I'm like, oh, that's, oh, maybe I did leave them in there. So I look, I can't find them. And then I can try and start the car because if the keys are in the car will start. Car doesn't start. So now this woman, the security woman, pulls up and she's like, oh, is this your car? And I was like, yeah, it's mine. She's like, oh, the trunk's open. Like, why'd you leave the trunk open? And I was like, I don't know. I must have clicked it by accident. And then she sees me like go into the car and not be able to start it. And she's like, are you sure this is your car? And I was like, yes, this is my car. I don't know why the trunk's open, but side note, I think someone took my keys by mistake, so I can't actually start my car. So she's like questioning it, but luckily like the gym owner came up and he's like, hey Frank, is everything all right? And I'm like, yeah, I think someone snagged my keys by accident because I can't find them. He's like, all right, well, let's go in, we can try and figure it out. So we go inside, and I basically tell him the story, and I was like, I think what happened is someone took my keys thinking that they were theirs because there's a pair of keys that look similar to mine there. So he's like, oh, grab those keys. So I grab the keys. He's like, I'll scan and see who it is, and we can see if like that's the case or not. So he scans it. He goes, oh, it's so and so. And I go, well, is the guy here? He goes, no, he comes in early and does like personal training with this guy. So they pull over the personal trainer and they're like, hey, when did what's his face leave? And he's like, oh, he left like 20 minutes ago. So they call him up and he goes, why? And he goes, because I think he took Frank's keys. And he goes, oh, that's why he couldn't get into his car, I guess. So they call up the person. He took my keys, walked outside, tried to open his car with the fob. It didn't open up. Probably then clicked the trunk button and popped open my trunk, which was probably couldn't have been too far to his car. Apparently didn't see that some random trunk popped open, couldn't open his stuff, went back in, told his personal trainer that his keys weren't working, and neither of them could figure out that he just didn't have his own keys. So instead, he called up his partner. They came and brought a spare set, and then he drove off to work with my keys like an hour away and had no idea. At first, I was like, oh, it happens. But then when I think about it, one, your keys don't work and you don't even think enough to look down and think like, maybe these aren't my keys. Two, he then goes inside and tells another person, and that person doesn't go, are you sure they're your keys? And then the third one is if your fob doesn't work, because I'm assuming what he thought is like, oh, the battery in my fob's dead. There's still a key in your fob that you like push and the key pops out and you can still open your car. So at no point did he try that either. And instead just fucking drove off with my keys. And I had to Uber to my house, get my keys, and then Uber back and get my car. It cost me $25.
Here's the thing is, I wouldn't put too much blame, because for all you know, the personal trainer might have said, but you're sure they're your keys. And this guy said yes. Like it's not as if the personal trainer.
Well, then that's really on him. Then that's really.
It's not
as
if the personal trainer would have been like, "Hey, I've memorized what your keys look like. Show them to me. These are not your keys."
No. You're right. But I think at least the personal trainer would have been like, "Are you sure they're your keys?"
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Hey, my keys aren't working. Are they yours? You know, like
I guess. I guess at the same time, he might have thought that's such a dumb question to ask. Like for someone to be adamant, like to have thought your keys were in your locker or whatever, and then that you've gone outside and that is your car. Like to ask someone like, "Are you sure they're your keys?" is almost a ridiculously, like it's almost insulting the intelligence of the other person.
I think you'd still say it though.
Maybe,
like even in a joking fashion. Like, are they sure your keys?
I think because also it would almost be, it's unimaginable for me to not even notice that they're not your keys. Like,
yeah, I will say it took me like half a second when I grabbed his. I'm assuming it's him. I don't even know if it is. When I grabbed their keys, and then like I grabbed them, thought they were mine, and then was like, wait, this doesn't feel right. Looked and saw that they weren't. Like I didn't even take a step before I realized they weren't mine. I grabbed them. I'll give him that. But I didn't go outside and try and use them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine grabbing someone else's keys and not thinking they were, and not instantly knowing they weren't mine. Like I'm looking at my keys right now, and I'm trying to think: is there something that's now okay? I have a keychain on them, so you got to probably remove the keychain because that's the sort of distinguishing feature. But in terms of even just the keys themselves, I would look at them and know those aren't my keys.
I'm a little angry. I should have took a picture of his keys, and then when I got my keys back, I could have took a picture and we could have compared how similar they are.
Yeah, maybe
all it is one ring, and then the fob, which is the identical fob except on the back it says the car model, and then probably close to the same amount of keys, and then the gym like swiper thing on there.
Yeah,
but still, I noticed within a second.
Yeah. No, I think
I didn't then go outside, not be able to open my car, and not like think something's wrong.
Yeah. No, it would surprise me if I could make that mistake. Put it that way.
Yeah, I just think like the critical thinking after your keys not working, the lack of critical thinking just really got to me. And then I love I can be there in like an hour or two and drop them off if you want. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
let me sit here.
If you make that mistake, he has to do something like, "I'll call you an Uber." Like that has to be the bare minimum. He has to say, and my expectation, if that were me, you have to say that like, "I'll call you an Uber." I would mostly expect you to go, "No, it's okay. Like I'll just deal with it myself," because
yeah.
But you still have to offer. Like to just be like, "Well, I'll be there in an hour, 2 hours. Is that okay? I know you kind of need your car. Like you're not. It's not like, oh, this isn't something you need right now. that's the bit that you have to try and find some. I would have said either, oh, can I pay for, like, there must be some kind of delivery, like some kind of courier service where I can get them to like drive your
I
keys
mean, you can
over.
just Uber your keys, probably.
You could. That there, yeah, you could. There might be some trust issues there a little bit, but
Maybe.
like I don't know if I'd have an Uber driver turn up and just go, "Hey, deliver these keys to this guy."
But he doesn't know. Yeah, but they're not his keys, so they wouldn't link. Like they wouldn't know my address.
No, yeah, it's true because you'd have to tell them your keys because you couldn't just say, "Hey, deliver this to someone," because I think then the Uber driver might say no. If you see what I mean, like I'm not taking some
Yeah.
mysterious package, like I'm not like delivering
Take this
drugs.
bag of cocaine.
Yeah, so you'd have to tell them they were keys, and then yeah, I don't. And I mean, like, look, I guess fundamentally, there's no reason to not, because if the Uber driver stole the keys, you would just get in touch with the Uber and be like, "This guy stole my keys." Like, thanks. I know exactly who
Yeah.
stole them, but yeah, you have to offer. If you're him, you have to offer something better than, or her. I guess you don't know. You have to offer something better than just, "I can be there in a couple hours."
I mean, I honestly, I think I'm just more mad at how do you not realize this? Like, how do you go that far that then even you call
The
your significant other and they come and they come and give you your spare set? That means you're standing there for at least 10 minutes
well, also
waiting for them to come.
the other person you need more than the trainer. I think the personal trainer has no responsibility in any part of this. Like, I don't think you can.
No, I'm not blaming
No, no, no.
them in
But when
any
you're
way.
like, oh,
It's
even
just
the
that,
no, no. But when you said like even the other person, I don't think you can even question their involvement in this in any way. But the other person you have to throw in is whoever the husband or wife, because like if I'm going to drop keys off, like even if you like we're in a situation, you're like, oh Eddie, you've got my spare keys. Could you bring me my spare keys? And I was like, oh, okay, sure. Inconvenience, but I'll do it. And I come and give you your spare keys. And then I was like, why aren't the other keys working? And then you're like, and this is then assuming, given that situation, I probably know exactly what your keys look like because we probably obviously we've got the same house keys or whatever. I would then
yeah,
just say, those aren't your keys. Like let me see those. Like let me try, and then immediately say these are not your keys.
yeah,
Like that person also has to take some responsibility.
yeah.
All right, well, I guess that pretty much wraps up this week.
Oh, we're not going to do any TV updates. We've been doing like a last segment TV watching updates.
I think we'll have to save. We're pretty long at this point, so I think we might have to
Okay.
save the TV update for that. Will be something
Okay.
people can look forward to: Premier League predictions and TV review.
Yeah, and I'll tease it with this. I just finished what many are calling the best show on television this year so far.
Okay. Is it what do you think I think that?
No, I do not think you think that, but
Okay.
most American critics have called this the best show on television so far in 2022.
All right. Well, something to look forward to.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you later.
See ya.